ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والعدوان إلا على الظالمين ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما. أما بعد, my dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to welcome you all to this show called Alif, Laam, Meem. Now for those, mashallah, tabarakallah, who are new to this show, Alif, Laam, Meem gives you the chance, the opportunity, the platform for everyone, brother or sister, to pick up the phone inshallah and to learn how to recite the Qur'an correctly. And the beauty of this show, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is not only that you call and recite and you enlighten us with your recitation, but for us to listen to beautiful recitations and thereafter provide you with a feedback. For those, inshallah, who are looking to participate, the lines are open for you, bi'idhnillah. And for those who are still a bit hesitant and nervous, inshallah, just pick up the phone and inshallah, recite the Qur'an and your heart will be at ease, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, how can you get involved? What number should you call? For those, inshallah, living in the UK, you can call us on 0203 515 0757. And for those who live abroad, mashallah, we have many callers from different parts of the globe. And you, inshallah, keep your calls coming in. You can call us via the WhatsApp number. Both numbers are placed at the bottom of your screens. We are also, inshallah, streaming live on our social media platforms. That is Facebook and YouTube. For those, inshallah, who know that your siblings or your family relatives or friends, neighbors who have the social media, inshallah, send it to them, send the link to them, inshallah, so they will benefit and you will also get the reward. Now, today, which surah are we going over and which verses are we reciting? So the surah is Surah Ahzab. Inshallah, we are continuing our recitation from the surah, but the verses for today are verse number 7 and verse number 8. So inshallah, a reminder to everyone that today's surah, the name is Surah Ahzab, and the verses are verse number 7 and verse number 8. Now, inshallah, just a reminder to those who are new to the show, the format is as follows. Inshallah, I'll be beginning the recitation of the Qur'an. Thereafter, once I've recited, I'll be going through these ayat, verse 7 and 8, in detail, in which I go through the rules. Okay, I highlight the rules, I go through them, inshallah, explaining each and every rule to the best of my ability, inshallah. And thereafter, we open the floors to your recitation, bi'idhnillah. So first and foremost, we begin with the recitation. So I urge everyone and I request everyone, inshallah, that you open up your mushaf, you follow with my recitation, or you follow the recitation and the mushaf that is on your screen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما. Sadaqallahu al-Azim wa barakallahu fiqh. Those were the beautiful verses of Surah Ahzab. Now, inshallah, like I said, we'll be going through these ayat. And like brothers and sisters, as I always say in every show, that this is the crucial part. Why? Because this is the chance for you to really understand the rules and to know how to implement these rules in the recitation. And inshallah, I'd just like to give you a reminder, the importance of Tajweed. Why do we learn Tajweed? What is the importance? And why is it so important to learn the Qur'an with Tajweed? Number one, reading the Qur'an with Tajweed has been mentioned in the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَوْزِدْ عَلَيْهِ وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. This tartil is in fact referring to Tajweed. How? Tartil, it means to recite slowly, to recite with a melody, to recite with correct Tajweed, pronunciation, fluency. So in hindsight, it is reciting the Qur'an with correct Tajweed. Number one. Number two is reciting the Qur'an according to its rules, according to its pronunciation, to recite every single letter correctly. Brothers and sisters, just to let you know that one mispronunciation of letters can have a big impact on the entire meaning. And this is the language of Arabic. It is very rich language, subhanallah. So one mistake has a very big impact on the entire meaning. And over and above, this is the chance, okay, with Tajweed, to learn the Qur'an with a melody, to recite beautifully. So, insha'Allah ta'ala, when you are reciting the Qur'an on your own, you know how to recite the Qur'an according to its rules, according to its guidelines, its regulations. So this is the chance, insha'Allah, as I go through them, take as many notes as you can. Okay? And like I always say, for those who know these rules, you may know them. Okay? This is also a chance to refresh your memory. A lot of times, after many times, we go over the rules. We need to brush them a bit. Okay? So this is the chance, inshallah ta'ala. We may not go through all of them. There are tons of rules, but those which are important and those which are needed to be highlighted, bi'idhnillah. So, inshallah, let's carry on with our Tajweed rules, bi'idhnillah. So, we begin. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا. Now, the letter waw, brothers and sisters, it's a very fragile letter. It's a very soft letter, okay? Now, having that being said, a lot of reciters, when we lose focus, when we lose focus on the letter waw, we tend to recite the letter waw incorrectly. And what is that? Where reciters say what is. That's not correct, okay? Maybe you're rounding your lips, but you're not making the sound correct, okay? What? I'm rounding my lips, but the sound is not correct. Okay, so we say wa. We round the lips, but it's a bit more minimized. It's a bit more closed in, if that makes sense, okay? Rather than expanding it and neglecting the pronunciation. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا. أَخَذْنَا, the letter dhal, أَخَذْ. We really need to look into this letter, okay? Now, a lot of reciters, again, this is a common mistake, where reciters bounce on the letter. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا. That's not correct. It may sound nice, but it's not correct. Okay, this is we need to understand. Our Tajweed has more precedent over our melody. Our Tajweed rules is much more important than a melody. We can recite beautifully, but our Tajweed is shambles. That does happen. So remember, always focus on your rules first, and thereafter you couple it with your melody, inshallah. So we say وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا, and not وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا. Bear that in mind. مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ, مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ. If you look at the letter noon has a shadda on top. Now, we need to know that when the letter noon and the letter meem have a shadda on top, we do something called ghunnah. And the ghunnah is the sound that comes through our nose. So if you listen carefully, you can hear that. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ, مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ. You hold the sound, inshallah. مِيثَاقَهُمْ, مِيثَاقَهُمْ. The qaf, okay? The qaf is a full mouth letter. It is a heavy letter. So, in any way, shape or form, we cannot say mithaqahum. A lot of reciters do say this. This is a common mistake, and we need to be aware of this, inshallah, okay? So, mithaqa. If you are one of those who say mithaqa, we need to change this, okay? We need to really understand what we are saying and acknowledge this and change it immediately, okay? So, mithaqa. The back of the tongue is lifted, not the middle, not the tip. The back of the tongue. ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم. منك. Now this rule here, brothers and sisters, minka, is known as ikhfa. It is known as ikhfa. Why? Because after the nun sakina, you have the letter kaf. So we say ميثاقهم ومنك. Okay, وَمِنْكَ. And because I'm stopping, I'm saying mink. But if you carry on, مِنْكَ وَمِنْ نُوحٍ وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ, etc. So the main point I'm making here is the ikhfa. وَمِنْكَ. Barakallahu feek. We then move on. وَمِنْ نُوحٍ وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ. وَمِنْ نُوحٍ. Ghunna. And then نُوحٍ. You're joining the ha to the letter waw, which is called idgham ma'al ghunna. Idgham with ghunna. Why? Because the answer, there is a tanween underneath the ha followed by the letter waw. Okay? So it's Nuhin. We don't say Nuhin. Again, this is a common mistake. We need to join. Nuhin wa Ibrahim. And then Ibrahim, the letter ba we bounce on. Wa Musa wa Isa ibn Maryam. Okay, the letter ba. Now, I am referring to the letter ba, but generally, I will be making a comment, inshallah, on the letter qalqala. Now, the letter ba, by the obvious reason, it's qalqala because there's a sakina on top. But the general comment is that when you see the letter ba, make sure you are not pressing your lips together. Okay, now, this may sound a bit contradicting because the makhraj of ba is that we press our lips. So what do? The answer is that we only press the lips together when it's not qalqala. But when it is qalqala, you touch the lips and then you detach or disengage from one another. Okay, so you say ibe. We don't say ibra. Does that make sense? So similarly, wa isabni, we cannot say isabni. We're pressing our lips. We say isab. You let it bounce. So in hindsight, you do maybe touch the lips or press the lips, but you do not keep it in that position. You then have to move away, inshallah, in order for the qalqala to happen. And once again, to make it clear, yes, the makhraj of ba is to press the lips, but this is only outside of qalqala. Inside of qalqala, it's the other reason which I mentioned. Okay, so I hope that is now clarified and there is no contradiction between the two. وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ. Now here, we do not say minhum. We need to be very careful here because a lot of reciters do this and this is a common mistake. So here, there is no ghunna because after the nun sakina, it's the letter ha. Now, I want to pause here and I want to explain something else. That when you have a nun sakina, it is not always it is not always ghunna. This is something we need to really instill in our minds, okay? That when there is a nun sakina, there is no ghunna by default, okay? Depending on which letter is after it, we make the necessary rule or we apply the necessary rule, inshallah. Please, so keep that in mind because a lot of reciters, they see the nun sakina and automatically they apply ghunna, and that's not correct, okay? You have to analyze and look at what is after, inshallah. Try this and you definitely see a big difference, inshallah, okay? Mithaqan ghaliza, again, another example of idhar, where there is a tanween, but after the tanween, it's a ghain. Now, this might also ring a bell. You might be asking, isn't idhar just with nun sakina? Isn't it just with ha? The answer is no, okay? Idhar is after nun sakina and tanween. Secondly, idhar has a total of 6 letters. So you won't just see ha, or you won't just see ayn, or you won't just see hamza. It's hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghain, and kha. 6 letters. So if any of those 6 letters appear, which will appear, okay, then you need to analyze it properly, inshallah, okay? And last, on that second line, the last thing is mithaqan ghaliza. We don't say ghalizan or ghaliz. Please bear that in mind. Okay, not ghaliz, not ghalizan, but ghaliza. You need to stretch and do the mad, inshallah. لِيَسْأَلَ الصَّادِقِينَ. لِيَسْ. We don't say liyasa. Do not bounce, inshallah. Please, this is a request and this is a rule of tajweed that we cannot bounce on letters that are not qalqala. Now, the reason I emphasize this on the most is because a lot of reciters do this. When they see the letter Meem, when they see the letter Noon, Laam, Sin, we bounce. Okay? Now, it could be 2 things. Intentionally, we're doing this because we think it's qalqala, or we are not really focusing on our makhraj. And this is, to be honest, 90% of the time. That we're not really focusing on the makhraj, we're reciting fast, we're neglecting the sound, and then we end up doing qalqala. And we don't realize. Okay, so inshallah, please have control of your recitation, be disciplined, and be maintained. Okay? عن صدقهم وأعد. Again, we don't say وأعد. No. وأعد. The letter dal has a shadda on top. So the ayn, it joins with the letter dal, and then you also pronounce the fatha on top of the dal. وأعد. وأعد. Not وأعد. Bear that in mind. للكافرين عذابا أليما. للكافي. Not للكافي. Now this is a common mistake. A lot of reciters say this. We say للكا. Now ka is not a letter, it's ka. للكافرين. للكافرين عذابا أليما. Okay, أليما. So we stop with the mad here, brothers and sisters. Now, inshallah, just before we take on your recitations, bi'idhnillah, just a small inshallah reminder to everyone as well, that if you are reciting bi'idhnillah, please make sure that you recite slow, bi'idhnillah. Okay? Now, subject to, obviously, if you're reciting in a fast pace, you need to maintain your tajweed rules. This is very important. A lot of us, we don't understand this, that we believe we recite fast, but we neglect the tajweed rules. That's not the case. You only can recite. The only ticket to recite fast is to have your tajweed maintained. Otherwise, you need to slow down, inshallah. Okay? So, those who are on the journey of learning the Qur'an, my key advice to you, brothers and sisters, to learn how to recite slowly. Because if you recite fast, it becomes difficult to recite slow. Whereas, if you start off slow, inshallah, you can then bend on the speed and you have your speed controlled, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? So, I hope, inshallah, it's an advice that many will take on board, bi'idhnillah, an advice that will benefit you, inshallah. Let's take on our first caller for today. We have Brother Ahmed from Germany. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Brother Ahmed, you're live in the studios. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Ahmed, if you can hear us, assalamu alaikum. You need to unmute yourself, inshallah, on your device that you're using.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, Ustadh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Can you hear me, Brother Ahmed? Brother Ahmed, can you hear me?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu feekum, Brother Ahmed, mashallah, for your recitation. Now, Brother Ahmed, a good recitation, however, my advice to you, brother, is to focus on the full mouth letters. For example, liyas'ala sadi. We don't say sadi. Now, reason is, especially with sad, if you say sa, you're making it into sin. Now, it's not sin, okay, it's sad. So sad, it's a bit more full mouth, it's a bit more heavier, as opposed to the letter sin, okay? Liyas, that's a sin. We don't say liyas, okay? So similarly, sad, it's the letter sad, we make it full mouth. Liyas'ala sadi, not liyas'ala sadi. Barakallahu feekum. I hope, inshallah, you have benefited. We, inshallah, move on to our next caller. We have Sister Nilufa. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
Excellent. Sister Nilufa, if you're ready, you can begin.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا
Not وأخذ. Don't stretch, sister. وأخذ.
وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسألوا الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Excellent. Barakallahu feek for your recitation, mashallah, tabarakallah. Now, sister Nilufa, there are two things you need to focus on, inshallah. Number one is to not stretch letters that are not supposed to be stretched, meaning the letters that don't have signs of mad, we do not stretch. We don't say وَأَخَذْنَا. Number one. Number two is the pronunciation of dha. Okay? Now, when you recited the letter dha, it did sound like you involved your lips. Ghali, dhwa. And this is why you had that sort of a wow sound to it at the beginning. Dhwa. That shouldn't be the case. Okay? Dha is only the lips, only the tongue. No lips should be involved. So, مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا, dha. And the way you said was غَلِيظًا. So there's a big difference. Okay, inshallah? So bearing in mind that you only use the tongue and not your lips. Jazakillahu khairan. May Allah reward you. May Allah bless you for your efforts. Let's swiftly move on to Sister Bilqis, our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Ustad.
Excellent. Sister Bilqis, you can begin, inshallah.
Inshallah, Ustad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين
not da.
وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu feek for your recitation, Sister Bilqis. Now, Sister Bilqis, similar to the previous reciter, again, focusing on the full math letters. Maryam, not Maryam. Okay, this is a common mistake we have amongst reciters. Isa ibn Maryam. Now, the ra needs to be full math. Maryam, not Maryam. Okay? Because the ra has a fatha on top, the ra has a sakin on top, and before it there's a fatha. Okay? Maryam, not Maryam. And similarly again, ghali, dha, we don't say dhwa. So please, inshallah, do not involve the lips. If it doesn't involve the lips, we need to kind of stay away from it because it does have an impact on the sound. So like I said, ghali, dhwa, the sound changes. Ghali, dha, the sound needs to remain full math throughout, inshallah. But jazakallah khairan, I hope you benefit, my dear sister. Barakallahu feek. Let's move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Baba, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Baba. Baba, help me, please.
Inshallah, you may begin, sister, with recitation.
Okay, Baba. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل ليسأل الصادقين عن عن صديقهم وعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Jazakallah khairan, my dear sister, mashallah, for your recitation. Now, two things for yourself, inshallah, to take on board. Number one, عن صديقهم. Now, the sound of dal should not carry on. Not صديق. That's too long. Okay, in fact, it shouldn't even be a second. صديقهم. Okay, صديقهم. Sharp and short, inshallah. Okay, صديق. Not صديق. Thereafter, وأعد should not be وأعد. Okay, what you done, you skipped the shadda. The shadda needs to be involved. Okay, otherwise it defeats the purpose. وأعد. Ain joins with the dal, and thereafter the dal needs to be recited with the fatha, inshallah. So try your best, my dear sister, to take this feedback on board, and you will definitely, inshallah, see a progress in your recitation. Nevertheless, may Allah bless you, may Allah reward you for your efforts and the time that you give for the Qur'an, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we will be going for a very, very short break, bi'idhnillah. But a reminder to everyone who, inshallah, want to recite and want to take part into the show, do call us on 0203 515 0757. And also, you can, inshallah, spread the link to your friends and your family, inshallah, for them to benefit from the listen to, so you will also get the reward, inshallah. So stay where you are, and we'll see you after the very short break. وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of this wonderful show called Alif, Laam, Meem. Today, brothers and sisters, we are going through Surah Ahzab, inshallah, verse number 7 and verse number 8. So if you want to participate, do call us via the WhatsApp number and the normal, inshallah, landline number that are placed at the bottom of your screens. Inshallah, let's take our caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
You can start when you're ready, please, sister.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى ابن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسألوا الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Jazakallah khairan, sister Mehrun, for your recitation, mashallah. Now, sister Mehrun, something to focus on, inshallah, which is very, very important, is your full mouth pronunciation. At times, it does sound as though it's been neglected. Okay, for example, ghalidha, sadiqina, there is no effort being put into it. Okay, so these letters, number one, we need to know what are the full mouth letters. If we don't know the full mouth letters, unfortunately, we will be looking over it. So that is number one. We need to, in our minds, memorize the full mouth letters. Thereafter, when we do come across a full mouth letter, we need to give full attention to it, full effort. Otherwise, again, it will sound exactly the same as any other letter. Like Sad, you're changing it to Sin. Dha, you're changing to Dhal. It has a big effect, okay, on the meaning and the entire recitation. So, in replacement of ghalidha, it should be ghalidha, dha, full mouth, effort, okay? Sadiqina should not be sadiqina, okay? Again, we need to know, inshallah, that sad, ghain, dha, they are full mouth letters, ta, and we need to really put the effort in, inshallah. So my advice to you, Sister Mehrun, is number one, memorize the letters of full mouth. They are called mufakham letters. And number two is you need to be focused when it comes to the full mouth letters, okay? A lot of times you're overlooking them. So be focused, be disciplined, inshallah, and be careful, okay? Be careful what you're reciting and how you're reciting as well. Jazakallah khairan. We move on to our next caller. We have Brother Sultan and his wife on the line. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sultan.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ustadh, how are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Wa
How are you
alaikum
today?
assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustadh? I'm fine. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for asking. Me and my wife will recite the Qur'an.
Inshallah. Faddal, you can start when you are ready.
Shall I start? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى ابن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu feekum, Brother Sultan, for your recitation. Very good. One thing, Brother Sultan, is the pronunciation of qaf. Okay, mithaqan, qan. Now, what we need to know is that the qaf and kaf do have a bit of a similar makhraj. When I mean similar, is that they come from the same part, which is the tongue. But there is a difference within that. And the difference is that qaf is at the back of the tongue, the right at the back, okay, which lifts up and touches the palate at the top. As for kaf, it's not the middle and it's not the back of the tongue. It's in between, inshallah. So again, it can be a bit difficult, but we need to, again, try our best to differentiate between qaf and kaf, okay? And the best way to do that is with qaf, give a bit more heaviness to it, qa. And again, you need to allow the tongue to lift up. A lot of reciters, they don't allow the tongue to lift. They restrict it, which then ends up becoming coming from the throat. Okay, it needs to come from the tongue. Qaf, to clarify, is not a throat letter, it is a tongue letter, inshallah. So bear that in mind, Brother Sultan, but overall, a very, very good recitation. You can now pass the phone over to your wife. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister, you can start when you're ready.
कैसा उसका ठीक है? ये أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى ابن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسألوا الصادقين عن صدقهم أعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu feeki, my dear sister, mashallah, good recitation. Sister, similar to your husband, the letter qaf. Again, qaf needs to be heavier. Mithaqan ghalidha. And after that, wa'adda. Now, if you look at carefully, there's a ayn in between hamza and dal. Okay, so he said wa'adda. It's actually wa'adda. Hamza, then ayn. Okay, wa'adda lilkafirina adhaban alima. But nevertheless, may Allah bless you, your husband, your entire family, and make you from the people of the Qur'an. Ameen. Barakallahu feek. Let's move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, sir.
Excellent. Sister Khanam, you may begin.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم
وأعد. We need to emphasize on the ayn. وأعد.
للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu feeki. My dear sister, mashallah, good recitation. Just that one thing, a'adda. Okay? Now, the reason why we need to emphasize it is because it's next to a letter that if we don't recite it correctly, it will become that letter, which is Hamza. So if we say wa'adda, we're not hearing the difference, okay? It will seem as though it's Hamza, but it's not, it's Ain. So again, it can be tricky, but we need to give the extra push and the extra effort, inshallah. Wa'adda. And if it means you slow down, by all means, inshallah, do that, okay? But again, we need to recite the Qur'an correctly and accurately by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nevertheless, Jazakallahu khairan. Let's take on our next caller, Sister Majida. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
I'm alright, thank you very much.
You can start, inshallah.
Inshallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين
ليسأل sister, not ليسأل. Don't stretch the Hamza.
ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
جزاك الله خيرا. So sister, when you're reciting, inshallah, again, focus on the haraka. Okay, very important that we focus on the haraka and especially the pronunciation of those haraka. For example, sidqihim, not qi. Okay, we're changing the sound of that word. So again, we need to stick to the haraka. We're not supposed to change the sakin to fatha, kasra to dhamma, an sidqi, qihim, not qihim. Okay. After that, again, which was quite important, to not stretch letters. This is very important to yourself and to everyone who's listening at home and will be listening, inshallah. That, brothers and sisters, when you are reciting, again, really focus on the letters, especially letters when they are singular, in terms of no other additional letters next to it, no signs of mudud. We need to be careful because, again, one stretch can impact the meaning. لِيَسْأَلَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Okay, so inshallah, this is my request to everyone, inshallah, to in order for your recitation to be correct and beautiful, inshallah, these small things do matter. Okay, how long you're doing the ghunna, how long you're doing the mad, to stretch letters when they're supposed to be stretched, to not stretch letters, so on and so forth, inshallah. Okay, so every single thing needs to be detailed to attention, inshallah. Barakallah fiqh, sister, for your call. Let's move on to our next caller, Mrs. Jamil. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
Excellent. You missed up.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم منك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Barakallahu fiki, my dear sister, for your recitation, mashallah, tabarakallah. Now, sister, for yourself is the letter Ain, okay? The letter Ain, you need to make a bit more sharp, inshallah, okay? So, Wa'isa, not Wa'isa. Again, we cannot recite it from the bottom of our throat. It needs to be from the middle. Wa'isa, not Wa'isa. Inshallah, bear that in mind. Isa bani Maryam, not Maryam. Making the ra heavy, inshallah, not empty mouth. Barakallah fiqh. May Allah bless you for your efforts, my dear sister. Let's move on to our next caller, Sister Layla. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister Layla, when you're ready, you may begin, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
جزاك الله خيرا, my dear sister, mashallah, tabarakallah. Now, my dear sister Layla, what you need to do is the letter dhal, adhaban, cannot be full-mouthed. Okay, you cannot say adhaba, adha. So the lips, again, need to be straight. We cannot make an oval shape with the lips, otherwise it becomes adha. It's adha. Adhaban alima. Adhaban alima. Keep that in mind, inshallah. But generally, fantastic recitation. Barakallahu feek. Let's swiftly move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Ni'mah?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Excellent. Ni'mah, you may begin when you are ready, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من نبيهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وعيسى بن مريم فأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Jazakallahu khairan, Ni'mah, for your, mashallah, tremendous recitation. May Allah bless you and reward you for your efforts. The way, mashallah, you composed the recitation, the delivery, the fluency, pronunciation, good, mashallah. However, one thing to take on board, inshallah, for your future recitation, mithaqan ghalidha. We cannot say mithaqan ghalidha. Now, why is this the case? Because when it comes to idhar, if there's a tanween and after the tanween there is a ghain, it becomes idhar. Okay, idhar is a rule that we do not do ghunna. So we cannot say mithaqan. It's mithaqan ghalidha. Mithaqan ghalidha. So clear, smooth recitation, inshallah. Okay, barakallah feek, my dear sister Ni'mah. Allah bless you and reward you for your efforts. Let's move on to Sister Nasima, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Ustad. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well, sister. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
Excellent. Sister Ni'mah, Sister Nasima, my apologies, you can start when you're ready.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم فأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما. صدق الله العلي.
Excellent, mashallah, tabarakallah. Very good recitation from Sister Nasima. Keep up your hard work, inshallah. May Allah bless you for your efforts. Let's move on to the next caller, Sister Firdaus. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Alaikum salam.
How are you today?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you,
How are
sister?
you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, yourself?
Alhamdulillah.
You can start when you're ready, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Firdaus, mashallah, for your recitation. Now, Sister Firdaus, what you need to do is focus on kaf. وَأَعَدَّ لِلْكَا, not ka. Okay, this is a common mistake. So again, when we're reciting kaf, dha, meem, noon, we need to be controlled, inshallah. Be careful. Not na, not ma, okay? Not ka, ka. وَأَعَدَّ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. Barakallah feek, sister. Let's move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Sister, you may begin when you're ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا
ميثا. You need to stretch that, sister.
ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وعد للكافرين.
وأعد. You need to make the ain and hamza separate, sister.
وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallah feek. So, sister, when you said mithaqan, you said mitha. Now it needs to be stretched. Mitha, meem and ya joined together. There is a kasra, and we need to stretch it, inshallah. So the bottom line is this is called maddul asli. Okay, for those who are new to this rule, inshallah, you will understand this bi'idhnillah. So if there's a ya with a sakina on top of it, so ya with a sakina, before it there is a kasra, then you stretch mitha, not mitha. Okay, and lastly, ghalidha, not ghalidha. We don't make the dha to that, inshallah. Ghalidha. Barakallah feek, sister. May Allah bless you for your efforts. Let's move on to our next caller, brother Saifullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah. Good.
Brother Saifullah, you can start when you're ready, inshallah.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى ابن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن بِأَمْرِهِمْ وَأَعَدَّ لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا.
Barakallahu feekum, Brother Saifullah, for your recitation. Now, Brother Saifullah, to work on qalqala. Now, when you said wa'idh, again, there was a stretch. Wa'idh. Wa'idh needs to be held onto. Wa'idh. Then, Isab. We need to bounce on the ba. Isab, not Isab. Okay, so bounce on the letter ba, inshallah. And then وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ. Here, no bouncing. So not مِنْهُمْ, مِنْهُمْ. So again, holding on to the letter noon, inshallah. So again, Brother Saifullah, when you are reciting the Qur'an and you are reciting a letter that is not a qalqala letter, we need to be careful of that, inshallah. Okay, so just to let you know, qalqala has 5. Qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. Those are the 5 letters. Otherwise, no other letters should be bounced on. Okay? Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we'll be going for another short break, bi'idhnillah. But again, another reminder that today our surah is Surah Ahzab, and the verses are verse number 7 and verse number 8. Again, I urge everyone, bi'idhnillah, and a request to pick up the phone and to try at least to recite 1 ayah or 2 ayah of the Qur'an, inshallah. And you see the peace in your heart, and you see the connection with the Qur'an, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to connect us with the Qur'an. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, do stay where you are, and we'll see you after the very short break. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى وَبَرَكَاتُهُ.
ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters, welcome back to the last and final segment of the show, Alif, Laam, Meem. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll be your host, Ustadh Mijanul Islam, and your Ustadh for today, inshallah. Now, brothers and sisters, today, inshallah, we will be covering Surah Ahzab, verse number 7 and verse number 8, inshallah. Again, brothers and sisters, this is your chance, your opportunity to call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to enlighten us with the Qur'an and to also to get closer to Him through the recitation of the Qur'an. Many of us, we may not understand the Qur'an, but the recitation of the Qur'an is enough to get closer to Allah and to really ponder over His verses and to really touch our heart. So, for those who are struggling, again, a lot of us, we go through this phase where we struggle to recite the Qur'an, and we kind of put it to a side. But we need to know and understand that Allah is with us. Allah is the only one who will make the Qur'an easy. So number one, we need to make excessive dua to Allah. Number two is to ponder over the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where for a person who is trying to recite the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doubles the reward for him or for her. So inshallah, let's strive, let's learn the Qur'an before it's too late, inshallah. So we now take on our call. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are
Sister,
you?
Alhamdulillah. You can start when you're ready, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا ميثاق النبيين ميثاقهم ومن وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما. السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum salam. So when you said, sister, ميثاقا غليظا, again, there was a bit of less effort when it came to the letter dha. We don't say the غليظا, dha. Make sure the tongue is lifting to touch the palate at the top. ميثاقا غليظا, dha. And after that, وأعد. So the ayn needs to be clear, okay? وأعد and not وأعد. Very important, inshallah. Barakallah feek for your recitation. We move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
You can start, inshallah, when you're ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما. السلام عليكم.
Jazakallah khairan, sister, for your recitation. Now, when you're reciting, sister, there needs to be consistency with your mad. Ibrahim wa Musa. You're saying Ibrahim wa Musa. Okay, there is a bit of difference in the mad. They need to be exactly the same because they have the same mad. So Ibrahim, Musa, stretch, Musa. And also, again, this has been a common mistake throughout where the dha is not being pronounced clearly. Dha, ghali, dha. But other than that, mashallah, a good recitation. May Allah bless you and reward you for your efforts. Let's move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. You can start when you're ready, inshallah.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Excellent recitation, mashallah, tabarakallah, from our dear brother. Now, just one thing, inshallah, is the letter Ra. So, Isa bani Maryam, making the Ra full mouth, okay? Because, again, there's a Ra with the sakina, and before there is a fatha, okay? Maryam, not Maryam, bear that in mind, inshallah, okay? But other than that, excellent recitation. May Allah bless you and continue to recite the Qur'an the way you are reciting. Let's inshallah move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah ta'ala, before we bring on our next caller, inshallah, just a feedback to everyone, and inshallah we'll be going through some of the common mistakes that have been made today. So, generally, mashallah, as always, we have very good callers calling in and enlightening us with the recitation. But generally, today, the mistakes were as follows. Number one is the letter Dha. Okay, so the letter Dha, we need to make an effort to make it full mouth, inshallah. Okay, now with the letter Dha, we need to know that the letter Dha is a tongue letter. We don't say Dha. Okay, Dha is when we are touching the tip of our tongues. However, with Dha, it is the tip of the tongue touching the root of your top tooth. And that is the difference, okay? Dhal is the tip of the tooth and Dha is the root of the tooth. And that's very important that we know the difference between the tip and the root, okay? We don't want to get confused here, inshallah. So, what we do is we make the Dha full mouth, okay? Making sure that the tip of the tongue is touching the root of your top tooth. Ghaliza, ghaliza, and not the. After that, a lot of reciters were making qalqala on the letter Dhal and Noon. Okay, Dhal and Noon were being bounced on, and that's not allowed. Okay, it's not correct because Dhal and Noon are not qalqala letters. Simple. So we don't say wa'idh, that's incorrect. It's wa'idh akhadna, and thereafter minhum. We don't say minhum. It's very important, inshallah. Okay, minhum and not minhum. So on that note, we need to, inshallah, I'll explain the rules of qalqala and what letters are the qalqala letters. So number one is the qalqala letters are 5: qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So if any of those 5 letters have a qalqala, have a sakina on top, then we bounce. Now, when we're doing the bounce, okay, for example, ibe, we don't overdo it, inshallah. Not ibe, just ibe, Ibrahim. Inshallah, let's take our caller, Sister Khadija. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Sister Khadija, if you're ready, you can begin, inshallah.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Oh, it hasn't come on the screen yet.
Should be on your screen, inshallah.
من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Jazakallah khairan. So sister, to focus on the mad, okay, Musa, and then when you said mithaqa, you said mithaqan ghalidha, okay, you need to stretch on the tha and the letter sin. Wa Musa wa Isa bani Maryam. Okay, it's very important that you do so, inshallah ta'ala. Otherwise, again, it will change the sound and the pronunciation of that particular word. So inshallah, when you have the mad, the standing mad on top of a letter, ensure to stretch. Wa Musa, and then mithaqan, mithaqan ghalidha. Barakallahu feek. So inshallah, we have now Sister Razna. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Razna.
Assalamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When you're ready, inshallah, you can start.
Okay, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا من النبيين وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك من نوح وإبراهيم وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم غليظا لا يسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما. السلام عليكم.
وأعد Barakallah feek. My advice to you, sister, will be to not stop after every word. Okay, there were frequent stopping taking place. Okay, and like I said, brothers and sisters, that when you stop frequently without a valid reason, it does have an effect. Okay, and it becomes lahnul jali. It becomes a major mistake. Okay, if there is a valid reason due to lack of breath or other circumstances which are valid, then you may do so. But we cannot stop after every word. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَا. Okay, this again becomes a lahnul jani mistakes. Okay, the structure of the ayah changes. So we need to try our best, inshallah, to read a minimum of 3 to 4 words, inshallah, before you do stop. Okay, and once again, try not to stop after every single word, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So I hope again there was a reason, inshallah, for you to do so. But if there wasn't, this is a kind reminder to, inshallah, try and implement that and focus on that as well, bi'idhnillah. Inshallah, let's go into our next caller. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, inshallah, I believe there are no callers at the moment, but inshallah, do, bi'idhnillah, try and pick up the phone to call in and recite. The number is 0203 515 0757. And for those who live abroad and want to participate, inshallah, you can also do. the number is at the WhatsApp number, which is placed at the bottom of your screens. Now, just to carry on from our feedback to the brothers and sisters who have recited, and again, this is also a time for those who have not participated to learn from these mistakes, inshallah, to take the feedback on for yourselves as well. So, when we are doing the qalqala, again, we are still bouncing on the letters. We are saying wa'ide, mine. Now, this can happen because we are not focused on the qalqala letters, okay? Maybe for some, you don't know what the qalqala letters are, and for others, you are bouncing on it, knowing that it's not a qalqala letter. Both will not be valid, okay? Because again, the rules are there to be acknowledged, to be recited with. And if we know that there's a rule there, and we're not reciting with it, this becomes a major mistake as well, okay? So now that you know, okay, that qalqala is a rule, and qalqala should be acknowledged correctly and not to be bounced on all the letters that we see, we need to start reciting with that, inshallah. And this is a very important principle. When it comes to tajweed, when we know that there is a rule, you need to recite with that rule. If you don't, this can become sinful because we are intentionally neglecting that particular rule. So this is a responsibility to everyone who is reading the Qur'an, who is learning the Qur'an, that you learn the Qur'an with tajweed. You learn the Qur'an with the correct rules bi'idhnillah. Inshallah, let's take on our caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today, sister?
Alhamdulillah.
You may begin, inshallah.
Naam. Oh, another place.
You can begin.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من نبيين ميثاقهم
وإذ أخذنا من
وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى ابن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وعدنا وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu fiki for your recitation. So sister, when you recite, inshallah, again, try to be focused with the letters and the haraka. Okay, so when you said wa'adda, you said wa'adda. There is an alif and then the letter ain. Wa'adda. Number one. Number two is the mad. Okay, you need to focus on the stretching of the letters, inshallah. So the mad, when you're reciting, to recite with the mad. Mithaqa, mithaqa. Okay, so we need to stretch here, where there is a ya sakina with a kasra before it. You said mitha, okay? It's mitha, mithaqan ghalidha. And after that, this is for those who carry on the recitation, okay? Now, what does that mean? That means that if you say nuhu, you are carrying on the recitation. If you stop here, it becomes nuh. Now, because you carried on, sister, you must say nuhi. What you said was nuhi Ibrahim. Okay, you didn't merge, you didn't do the idgham. So please note that if you do carry on, you need to carry on with the idgham and the ghunna, inshallah, okay? After that, mithaqan ghalidha. Okay, you said, sister, a different letter like galidha or ghalidha. So be clear with what you are reciting, inshallah. ميثاقا غليظا ميثاقا غليظا بارك الله فيه وجزاك الله خيرا. Let's move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Mrs. Mia, you are live in the studios. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Mrs. Mia, you can begin when you're ready, inshallah, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ أخذنا من النبيين ميثاقهم ومنك ومن نوح وإبراهيم وموسى وعيسى بن مريم وأخذنا منهم ميثاقا غليظا ليسأل الصادقين عن صدقهم وأعد للكافرين عذابا أليما.
Barakallahu feek, mashallah, a very good recitation from our dear sister. Generally, very good recitation, mashallah, tabarakallah. However, again, sister, you need to make the difference between dhal and dha. Okay? Wa idh and then ghalidha did sound exactly the same, in which you made the dha become dhal. So, mithaqan ghalidha. Very, very important, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? So, bear that in mind, but otherwise, a very, very good recitation, mashallah, tabarakallah. Now, brothers and sisters, before we end today's show, inshallah, I'd like to leave you with a couple of practical advice, bi'idhnillah, for those who are learning the Qur'an, whether you are a youngster or whether you are an adult, mashallah, and you are on the journey of learning the Qur'an. These are the advice, inshallah, that I'd like to give you all, and I hope, bi'idhnillah, you do take it on board. So, number one is, brothers and sisters, when we are trying to learn the Qur'an, we need to renew our intentions. As the Prophet ﷺ says, the first hadith in Bukhari, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that every single action depends on your intention. So, for those adults who, mashallah, tabarakallah, you are busy with your schedule, work, family, but you have the intention of learning the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for that. However, what you need to do is be active, proactive in showing that you have the intention of learning the Qur'an. There are many who just have the intention, okay, I want to learn the Qur'an, but they're not actually physically trying to learn. And that's not correct, okay? Yes, make the intention, but also show that you care. Show that your intentions are correct. That is number one. So renew your intention. Why you're doing this? Who are you doing this for? Okay? And thereafter, inshallah, what you need to do is you need to be active. That's the second point, is make the intention and then make an effort. How do you make an effort? Is number one, have a teacher, okay? Find a teacher, whether it's online or whether it's a local masjid or your local Islamic institution. Go there, inshallah. Sit with the shuyukh, sit with the reciters of the Qur'an, and really try to learn the Qur'an. If you're at home, you don't have a teacher and you're using online resources, which is good to an extent, you won't be learning enough, okay? You need to have that practical element to the recitation. There are many, okay, that who learn only the rules of Tajweed, what is ikhfa, what is idhar, what is mad, qalqala, so on and so forth, but they don't know how to implement it in the recitation. And this is where we are falling short. We know the rules, but we're not implementing it. Or we know how to recite the Qur'an, but we don't implement the Tajweed. So what we need to do, in order for both to be hand in hand and coupled together, we need to have our teachers. We need to be close to them, inshallah, and recite to them. And lastly, never lose hope in the mercy of Allah. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Do not despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Try your best. You will go through struggles and struggle. There will be verses in the Qur'an where you're struggling to recite, but never lose hope, because those struggles will be very, very big on the scale, on Mizan, on the Day of Judgment. So for those who are trying, but yet you can't get through, and you still try, and always remember that that struggle will never go to waste. And always remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that for every single letter that you recite, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you with 10 hasanat. For those who are struggling, Allah multiplies that reward. So why not, inshallah, take the chance to reap that reward? Because again, on the Day of Judgment, we will be on our own. There will be no one with us except from our deeds. Our deeds are the only things that will help us, inshallah. And also, brothers and sisters, make this a means for yourself to get closer to Allah. There are various ways of getting closer to Allah, through your sadaqah, through your salah, through being dutiful towards your parents, and also the recitation of the Qur'an. The recitation of the Qur'an is one of the easiest way to mend your heart, to soften your heart, and to have the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within your tongue, within your heart, inshallah. So for those, again, who haven't started, this is your chance. This is your chance to learn the Qur'an. Open the Qur'an, look at the Qur'an and really try. Don't be ashamed to learn the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, that this is a book which has no doubt. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, in this book, لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, there is no doubt. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, that it is a guidance for the mankind. That this is the Qur'an that will guide you. This is the Qur'an, your manual book to navigate you through your life. You will go through many trials and tribulation, problems upon problems in various ways, but the Qur'an is there to aid you. The Qur'an is there to assist you in whatever problems you go through, inshaAllah ta'ala. So I urge everyone, learn the Qur'an before it's too late, bi'idhnillah, and really connect to Allah through the recitation of the Qur'an. Brothers and sisters, unfortunately, we have come to the end of today's show. However, inshallah, do tune in tomorrow on Eman Channel from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. where we carry on our recitation from Surah Ahzab. So if you didn't take part today, inshallah, do take part tomorrow and really focus on the upcoming verses bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Until next time, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enter us to Jannatul Firdaus. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this a means to us enter Jannah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين